Hello, it's my pleasure to bring you this session. This session is going to be covering how to connect Autodesk Vault to the Streamline Buzzsaw web-hosted services that we offer. My name is Dustin Clark. I'm a Senior Solutions Engineer on the manufacturing team, and we cover a wide variety of different products, but today we will focus on just the ones in question. So a little bit about the process. First off, most of the time, companies are laid out in a very similar process. Starting on the left, you create your products using some different CAD applications. You go through, pass that information out to the rest of your company, and as we move further to the right, you also have to distribute that out past your firewall to your customers. So in that process, we can see that there's a couple of different CAD applications we've highlighted, AutoCAD and Autodesk Inventor there. And so those are your tools that will help you start the process of creating the designs. But as we go through, we also know that it really is nice to manage that release data in a very organized fashion. And that's where Autodesk Vault Manufacturing comes in as one of the different options out of the Vault family of products. This one gives you a lot of different advantages to even go through and connect into ERP and such things. But let's focus on the main thing that we're looking to accomplish today. That's the process there of going past or through the firewall to connect to Autodesk Streamline, also known as Buzzsaw. And that way you can go through and have that automatic connection to pass that data across as needed. So with no further ado, let's look at the different steps that are needed to get this to happen. In the past, we were able to go through and utilize a tool called iPublisher to do that, which is right off our Autodesk website under Buzzsaw and Data and Downloads, and that may still be applicable. I currently have moved into the Vista and Windows 7 world, and that workflow just doesn't work as good as it used to. So with the tools that we have today, especially throughout the Windows 7 process, we want to take a look at how we can do this to get into and passing our data into this Streamline location. I've gone through and created a specific folder for where we're going to post this data, and you can see here that it's automatically created based on some of the work I've done in the past, the information for me, including the folder structure. So how do we get this information in here, and how do we connect it? The first step is to go back in and load a program called WebDrive. This product will go through and allow you to create a drive letter on your computer. So I'll give you a quick second to look at that. It will go through and automatically create this as a drive on your computer so that you can access all of the folders that I'm accessing directly inside of a stored drive. So with that being the case, let's see how we would go through and set this up. I'm going to run through a new website creation for this. And talk about the main things that we want to set up during this process. We're going to be utilizing the WebDAV technology, and we're going to need to make sure it's a securely connected process. And here at this point is where you go back in and type in the specific name for your Streamline or Buzzsaw website location. So I'm going to quickly hop over to where we are in this design. And from here we will copy this information, and we're going to make one slight modification. We're going to change the front end portion to read webdav.buzzsaw.com, and then we'll also just remove the client portion so that it goes straight into the MCAD AE testing. We can skip through the next screen automatically, and then we just put in our information here. Once we've done that, we can also test to connect to make sure this is connected. So once we've done the connection, we've tested to make sure that works, we can go through to the next place, the next stop here, and it will go through and automatically create what's already been created on mine in the S drive. So that's one of the first steps to go through and create that. And now that we have inside of Streamline a location that we can point to, and that's been created. We also want to look at some of the other tools that we need to set up, such as Inventor. And inside of that Inventor environment, where do we need to go through to make sure that this points to the right location? Well, first off, Inventor pushes data into the Vault, and it does that through a project file to manage that process on the Inventor side. And when you set up a Vault managed project, you can see that there is an option here for published folder, and we can see that we've already pointed to that specific drive that we referred to. So that's one of the first steps that we want to go through and do, is edit the project file and then give the location of that newly created drive letter that's a web drive. Secondly, what we need to do is go into the Vault management system under the administrative information, and inside of here we need to come into tell the visualization files where those are going to be located. So here we can see the duplicated Vault file structure is what we want it to do. That's what you saw earlier within the Streamline site, where it automatically created the folder structure to match what I have inside of my Vault. And there we can see that it has the exact same location that we were pointing to for the project file. So with that, we can see that no matter what file we're creating and referencing, is going to automatically create a DWF, a lightweight viewable file, that's automatically going to get posted to our Streamline site. And inside of that file, we can go through and do multiple different things. It keeps track of the versions. I went through during this process and saved and modified this file a few times. We can even go back in and switch between those versions. Let's take a look at the first version that we created. And it will go through and manage and keep track of all those for us, so that this version doesn't have that broken out isometric view compared to the second version, which does. So it will go through and do that process just by you working inside a Vault, doing a check-in and check-out process. It will automatically keep up with and create the IDWs and post those to this web drive, which automatically syncs directly up into Streamline. So with that, I hope you've learned the process needed to go through and do that. We definitely appreciate you taking the time to look at this, and hopefully it's gathered everything you needed to create a web drive and sync Autodesk's Inventor to Vault, and then of course passing that Vault data to the other products, to Streamline and Buzzsaw. Thank you very much and have a great day.